Ever imagined yourself at the helm of a massive cargo ship, carefully navigating it through a crowded harbor? Well, today we're taking a deep dive into the world of maritime pilots, the unsung heroes who make sure those behemoths reach their destinations safely. We've got a stack of sources, career guides, interview tips, even some intel on this cool tool called RoleCatcher. So get ready to learn what it takes to become one of these expert navigators.
It's a career that really blends tradition with cutting-edge technology, which I find fascinating.
Absolutely. So, first things first.
No.
What exactly does a maritime pilot do all day?
Their core role is to ensure the safe passage of ships through challenging waterways like harbors and rivers. They act as expert guides, advising captains on the best routes, maneuvers, and precautions to take based on their in-depth knowledge of local conditions.
So it's not just about steering the ship. They're kind of like living, breathing GPS systems,
Yeah,
but for giant vessels.
that's a great analogy. And their knowledge goes far beyond what you'd find on any chart or radar. They need to know the tides, currents, depths, hidden obstacles, even the quirks of local weather patterns. For example, a pilot in San Francisco Bay needs to be acutely aware of the fog that can roll in quickly,
Right.
reducing visibility dramatically.
Wow. That's a lot of responsibility. It sounds like a pretty intense work environment. What's it really like out there?
It's certainly dynamic. You're working in ports, harbors, sometimes out on the open ocean, all kinds of weather conditions. It's physically demanding, and the hours can be irregular. You might be called in at any time, day or night, to guide a ship.
Our sources mention that it can mean long stints away from home, too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. That's something to consider. It's not your typical 9-to-5 job. And another unique aspect is a collaboration involved. Maritime pilots work closely with ship captains, providing expertise on local waters. But they also coordinate with port authorities to ensure smooth traffic flow and safety throughout the harbor.
It's like they're the crucial link between the ship and the shore, making sure everything runs smoothly.
Before we get into the specifics of becoming a pilot,
Yeah.
what's the long-term outlook for this career? With all the technological advancements happening, is there still a need for human pilots?
Absolutely. In fact, global shipping is on the rise, which means the demand for skilled maritime pilots is growing steadily. And while technology is certainly important, it can't replace the human element. A pilot's judgment, experience, and local knowledge are invaluable in navigating complex and ever-changing conditions.
That's good news for anyone considering this path. So
Mm.
let's dive into the nitty-gritty. What are the pros and cons of this career?
Well, starting with the pros, the salary is very attractive, which is a big draw for many. And beyond that, the work itself is incredibly stimulating and rewarding. You're constantly challenged, you get to travel, and you're playing a vital role in the global economy.
Plus, you get to say you park giant ships for a living. I bet that never gets old. But what about the downsides? What are some of the challenges someone might face in this career? The irregular schedule and time away from home can be tough on family life. It's a demanding job both physically and mentally. You need to be able to handle pressure, make critical decisions, and constantly stay updated on regulations and new technology. It's a career that requires ongoing learning and adaptation.
It sounds like you need a unique combination of skills and personality traits to thrive in this role. So,
Yeah.
for those intrigued by the challenge, how does one actually become a maritime pilot?
It usually starts with gaining seafaring experience. Many aspiring pilots begin their careers as deck officers, which helps them build a strong foundation in navigation, ship handling, and maritime law. Then, obtaining a maritime pilot license is crucial.
And I noticed our sources mentioned other certifications as well, like STCW and Radar Observer. What are those all about?
You're right, those are important too. STCW stands for Standards of Training, Certification, and Watchkeeping. It's an internationally recognized certification that ensures seafarers have the necessary skills and knowledge to operate safely and efficiently. And a Radar Observer certification demonstrates proficiency in using radar for navigation and collision avoidance, which is obviously crucial for a pilot.
It seems like continuous learning is a big part of this career path.
Absolutely. Regulations are constantly evolving, new technologies are emerging, and you're always encountering new challenges and scenarios on the water. A maritime pilot never stops learning.
Okay. So beyond the certifications, what are some of the key skills and qualities that make a truly exceptional maritime pilot? It seems like it takes more than just knowing your port from your starboard.
You're absolutely right. It's a mentally demanding job that requires a unique blend of technical expertise, soft skills, and a certain temperament.
Well, let's unpack those. Our sources highlighted communication as a key skill. What makes that so important in this role?
Maritime pilots are constantly interacting with different people, ship captains, crew members, port authorities, tugboat operators. They need to communicate clearly and effectively, often in high-pressure situations, to ensure everyone is on the same page and working together safely.
And I imagine decision-making is a critical skill, too. Our research mentioned being able to think on your feet and assess risks quickly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You need to be able to process information rapidly, evaluate potential hazards, and make sound judgments, often with limited time and under challenging conditions. It's about having that situational awareness and the confidence to make the right call, even when the stakes are high. And it's not just about reacting to the immediate situation. You need to be able to anticipate potential problems before they arise. What if the wind suddenly shifts? What if a ship loses power? A good maritime pilot is always thinking ahead, planning for contingencies, and ready to adapt to changing circumstances.
Now, before we move on to the career progression and those tough interview questions, I want to touch on this tool that keeps popping up in our research RoleCatcher. It sounds like it's a real game changer for anyone pursuing a career as a maritime pilot.
It's certainly worth exploring, from what I've gathered. It's a career development platform that helps with everything from building a standout CV and resume to practicing for those all-important interviews. It even uses AI to tailor your applications to specific job requirements.
That sounds incredibly useful, especially in a competitive field like this. We'll definitely have to delve deeper into RoleCatcher later on, but for now, let's walk our listeners through the typical career stages of a maritime pilot. How do you go from newbie to seasoned expert?
It's a journey that takes time, dedication, and a lot of hands-on experience, typically. You start by assisting senior pilots, learn the ropes, and observing their techniques. This is where you start to build your local knowledge and develop your skills.
So it's not like you're thrown into the deep end right away.
Not at all. It's a gradual process. As you gain experience and confidence, you progress to guiding ships with supervision, gradually taking on more responsibility.
So you're not thrown into the deep end right away.
Exactly. It's all about building your skills and confidence under the guidance of experienced mentors. As you move into the role of a junior pilot, you start guiding ships with supervision, gradually taking on more responsibility.
And eventually, you reach that point where you're guiding ships independently, becoming a seasoned decision maker. But what happens after that? What are the later stages of a maritime pilot's career?
Well, as you progress, you might become a senior pilot, mentoring junior pilots and coordinating complex movements within the harbor. And the pinnacle of the career is often the role of chief pilot, which involves leadership responsibilities, overseeing training, and collaborating with port authorities to ensure the smooth operation of the entire pilotage service.
It sounds like a career that offers a lot of room for growth and advancement. And speaking of advancement, let's not forget about those nerve-wracking interviews. Luckily, we've got some insights from our interview guide to help our listeners navigate those choppy waters. What are some of the toughest questions they might face? And how should they prepare?
One common question is, why do you want to be a maritime pilot? It seems simple. But interviewers are looking for more than just a generic answer. They want to see your passion, your understanding of the role, and your genuine interest in the maritime industry.
It's not just about saying, I like boats.
Exactly. It's about articulating your motivations, highlighting relevant experiences, and demonstrating that you've thought deeply about the challenges and rewards of this career.
And I bet they also ask those tricky behavioral questions.
Oh, all right.
The ones that try to gauge how you handle stressful situations and difficult personalities.
You're right. They might ask you to describe a time you had to make a tough decision under pressure, or how you dealt with a conflict on board a ship. These questions are designed to assess your problem-solving skills, your communication style, and your ability to stay calm and composed under pressure.
It's not just about what you know. It's about how you handle yourself in those high-pressure moments. That's all the time we have for part 1 of our deep dive into the world of maritime pilots. But don't go anywhere. In part 2, we'll delve deeper into the psychological aspects of decision-making under pressure, explore the environmental impact of this profession, and share some expert tips on how to craft compelling answers to those tough interview questions. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of maritime pilots.
We've already covered a lot of ground, from the day-to-day tasks to the career path. But what really struck me in part 1 was the sheer responsibility these pilots' shoulders. I mean, we're talking about guiding ships worth millions, sometimes billions of dollars.
It's true. And it's not just the financial value. Think about the cargo on board, essential goods, sometimes even hazardous materials. A maritime pilot's decisions can have a ripple effect far beyond the immediate situation.
It's a lot to consider. One wrong move could have huge consequences for the economy, the environment, and even people's lives. No pressure.
Right.
But that's also what makes
Understanding.
this job so crucial. It's about so much more than just steering a ship. You're impacting global trade, supply chains, and even the well-being of entire communities.
Exactly. And it's that connection to something larger than yourself that draws many people to this profession. But it's important to acknowledge the weight of that responsibility. It can be incredibly demanding, both mentally and emotionally.
Well, let's talk about those demands. We touched on the irregular hours and time away from home, but what are some of the other challenges maritime pilots face on a daily basis?
Well, for starters, there's the sheer scale of the vessels they handle. We're not talking about nimble little sailboats here. These are massive container ships, tankers, cruise liners, some longer than the Eiffel Tower. Maneuvering them in tight spaces, with wind and currents at play, requires incredible skill and precision.
It's like trying to parallel park a skyscraper, but with moving obstacles and the potential for a major disaster if you miscalculate.
That's a vivid way to put it. And on top of that,
Mm.
you have to factor in the ever-changing weather conditions. Fog,
Mm.
storms, strong currents. These can create incredibly challenging scenarios that demand quick thinking and adaptability. A pilot might plan a route based on certain conditions, only to have those conditions shift dramatically in a matter of minutes.
Our sources emphasize the importance of being able to assess risks and make decisions under pressure. What are some examples of the tough calls a pilot might have to make out on the water?
Imagine you're guiding a massive tanker through a narrow channel, and the wind suddenly shifts direction, pushing the ship closer to shore. Or a mechanical issue on board impacts maneuverability, leaving you with limited steering control. Or a dense fog bank rolls in, reducing visibility to near zero. These are the moments when a pilot's experience, judgment, and cool-headedness truly come into play.
That sounds incredibly stressful. You'd have to have nerves of steel to handle those kinds of situations calmly and effectively.
You're right. It takes a special kind of person to thrive in this environment. And that's why experience is so valuable in this profession. The more situations you've encountered, the better equipped you are to handle the unexpected. It's not just about knowing the rules and regulations. It's about developing that instinct, that intuition that guides you when the pressure is on.
And it's not just about textbook knowledge, it's about that gut feeling, that instinct that develops over time.
Exactly. It's about recognizing patterns, anticipating problems before they arise, and having the confidence to make the right call, even when there's no clear-cut answer. It's about knowing when to trust your experience and when to seek additional information or support.
Now, we've talked a lot about the demanding aspects of this career, the pressure, the responsibility, but let's shift gears for a moment and focus on what makes it truly rewarding. What are some of the intangible benefits that our listeners might find appealing?
Well, for one,
Okay.
there's the immense satisfaction of successfully guiding a massive ship through a challenging waterway. It's a unique and exhilarating feeling, knowing you've played a crucial role in ensuring the safe passage of valuable cargo and the well-being of the crew.
It must feel like solving a giant moving puzzle, but with breathtaking views and the added thrill of knowing that the stakes are incredibly high.
That's a great way to describe it. And beyond the professional satisfaction, there's the element of adventure. You're constantly encountering new situations, working in different ports, experiencing the raw power and beauty of the sea. It's a job that keeps you on your toes and offers a connection to the natural world that's hard to find elsewhere.
And you're part of a close-knit community, right? I imagine the camaraderie among pilots must be something special.
You're absolutely right. There's a strong bond that develops among maritime pilots. You're working with a team of highly skilled professionals, all dedicated to safety and excellence. You share a common purpose, a deep understanding of the challenges and rewards of the job, and a reliance on each other for support and expertise.
So it's not just a job, it's a lifestyle. And one that offers intellectual stimulation, physical challenges, and a connection to both the sea and a community of like-minded individuals.
That's a great way to sum it up. And let's not forget the pride that comes with being a maritime pilot. You're playing a vital role in global trade and transportation. You're entrusted with the safety of countless lives and valuable cargo. And you're constantly pushing your own boundaries, honing your skills, and mastering a challenging and rewarding craft.
Well said. We've covered a lot of ground in this episode. We've explored the ins and outs of a maritime pilot's role, dived deep into the challenges and rewards, and even touched on the personal qualities and skills that are essential for success in this field. But we're not finished yet. In part 3, we'll tackle those tough interview questions head-on, providing you with practical tips and insights to help you navigate the hiring process and stand out as a top candidate. We'll also take a closer look at that intriguing career tool, RoleCatcher, and explore how it can give you an edge in your job search. So stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive into the world of maritime pilots.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the world of maritime pilots. We've explored the ins and outs of the job, the challenges, the rewards, and the skills needed to succeed. And now, we're going to shift our focus to the all-important hiring process. Because even with all the right qualifications, landing a job as a maritime pilot requires navigating a competitive and often demanding interview process.
So, let's imagine you've made it to the interview stage. You're sitting across from a panel of experienced pilots, ready to prove you've got what it takes. What are some of those curveball questions they might throw your way?
Well, they might ask you to describe a time you had to make a split-second decision under pressure, a situation where safety was at stake, and you had to act quickly and decisively. They want to see how you think on your feet, how you assess risks, and prioritize safety above all else.
Yeah, it's like a real-life test of your ability to stay calm and collected when things get intense.
Precisely. They're looking for evidence of your critical thinking skills,
Yeah.
your ability to remain focused under pressure, and your commitment to making the right call, even when faced with uncertainty or conflicting information.
Makes sense. And what about those behavioral questions, the ones that try to delve into your personality, your work ethic, and how you handle interpersonal challenges?
They might ask you to describe a time you had to deal with a difficult colleague, or a conflict on board a ship. They want to gauge your communication skills, your ability to work effectively in a team, and your conflict resolution strategies. They want to see if you can maintain professionalism and composure, even in challenging interpersonal situations.
Yeah, it makes sense. You're going to be working closely with ship captains, crew members, port authorities, all kinds of personalities. Being able to communicate effectively and build strong working relationships is essential.
Absolutely. A maritime pilot isn't a lone wolf out there. They're part of a complex ecosystem. And their success depends on their ability to collaborate effectively with a diverse group of people.
For sure. Okay, so we've got a sense of the types of questions they might ask, but how do you actually craft compelling answers that will make you stand out as the ideal candidate?
Well, this is where preparation is key. You need to think carefully about your experiences, your skills, and your motivations, and be ready to articulate them clearly and concisely. It's helpful to practice your responses out loud, maybe even with a friend or mentor, to refine your delivery and make sure your answers flow naturally.
Right. And this is where that career tool we mentioned earlier, RoleCatcher, can be incredibly valuable.
Right, absolutely. RoleCatcher offers a vast library of practice interview questions, specifically tailored to maritime pilot roles. It's like having a secret weapon in your back pocket. You can practice your responses, get feedback, and even refine your delivery with AI-powered tools.
That's pretty cool. It takes the guesswork out of interview prep and helps you tailor your answers to the specific requirements of the job.
Exactly. And by using RoleCatcher to analyze the specific skills and qualities highlighted in the job description, you can make sure your answers directly address what the interviewers are looking for. It's all about showing them that you've done your homework and that you're genuinely prepared to excel in this role.
Awesome. Okay. Let's do a little role-playing here. Imagine you're asked the classic question, what's your biggest weakness? How do you answer that strategically without sabotaging your chances?
Well, the key here is to choose a weakness that's not directly related to essential job functions, and then frame it as an area you're actively working to improve. It's about showing self-awareness and a commitment to personal growth.
So, for example, you might say, I sometimes tend to get overly focused on details, which can slow me down when making quick decisions, but I'm learning to delegate tasks more effectively and trust my team members to handle certain aspects of a project.
Exactly. You're acknowledging a potential shortcoming, but you're also demonstrating that you're proactive about addressing it and developing strategies to mitigate its impact.
Right. Now, let's say they ask you about your long-term career goals. How do you convey ambition without sounding overconfident or unrealistic?
The key is to focus on your passion for maritime piloting, your desire to continuously learn and improve, and your aspiration to take on increasing responsibility within the field. You might mention a specific type of vessel you'd like to pilot, a leadership role you aspire to in the future, or a particular area of maritime expertise you'd like to develop.
I see. And be sure to express your enthusiasm for contributing to the safety and efficiency of the maritime industry as a whole.
Right. Show them that you see this as more than just a job, that you're genuinely invested in the industry and eager to make a positive impact.
Okay. Final question. How do you leave a lasting impression on the interviewers? even after the interview is over.
Send a thank you note within 24 hours, reiterating your interest in the position
Yeah.
and highlighting a specific point for the conversation that resonated with you. It shows professionalism,
Yeah.
courtesy, and a genuine interest in the opportunity.
Right, and don't be afraid to follow up periodically to demonstrate your continued enthusiasm and check on the status of the hiring process. Persistence and genuine interest can go a long way.
Absolutely. Remember, landing a maritime pilot job is a marathon, not a sprint. Persistence, preparation, and a genuine passion for the profession will ultimately set you apart.
Great advice. And who knows, you might just find yourself at the helm of a massive ship, guiding it safely through challenging waters, all thanks to the insights you've gained from this deep dive.
Well, it's been a pleasure exploring this fascinating career path with you. Good luck on your journey.
And to our listeners, we hope you found this deep dive informative and inspiring. If you're considering a career as a maritime pilot, remember that resources like RoleCatcher can be invaluable in helping you navigate the path to success. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the things that ignite your passion.